Hello, listeners. I hope you're doing well as we slide right into December. Welcome to another episode of The More You NoCo. Community connection makes people's lives better, and that's why I've started this podcast. We hear from people in the area and soak up their stories and ideas so that Northern Colorado can feel even just a little more like home. Today we have two guests, Alan Jantzen and Adam Vandersande of Hot Corner Concepts, a group of 5 different restaurants serving the Fort Collins area. Alan and Adam both talk extensively about being a part of Fort Collins and serving people in their community. I imagine you may also get a little hungry during the episode. If that's the case, stop in at one of their places and meet them and grab some delicious food, like I did just before I sat down with them. Enjoy! Hello, listeners out there, everyone tuning in. I sit here with 2 guests today. First, Alan Jantzen, the Director of Operations for Hot Corner Concepts. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And we're also joined by Adam Vandersande, the GM of Austin's American Grill, downstairs from where we're recording.
Awesome, how you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'll just open this up. What led you all to Hot Corner Concepts?
My path started 27 years ago as a cook at the Moot House, which was our first location. And I've grown with the company since then to my current position, which is overseeing all of the restaurants. I've done everything in between.
So you started working at the Moot House, and then how did you end up being the director of operations of like the whole shebang?
Every time an opportunity came up, I couldn't shut my mouth and say no. I took them all, and it just led to one more door opening every time that opportunity came up, which was a great opportunity. At the time we were growing, and I had a skill set which matched up with the things that needed to happen within the company, and I have a passion for food and people, and it matched up well with Scott and Steve, who are the owners. It was just a kind of a perfect match at that time for us to operate restaurants that way. And as Scott has retired, it was natural for me to backfill his position and oversee the restaurants along with Steve Taylor.
Now, I hate to ask this because this might either seem blatantly obvious or very ignorant, but is Big Al's named after you?
I am Big Al.
You are Big Al. Okay. So at one time, was it just Moot House, and then this idea started expanding, and then maybe Big Al's came along, and that was named after you, and you were already...
Yeah, it was one of the greatest compliments a guy can ever get, I guess, to have a restaurant named after you. Yeah, we've done a little bit of everything in the hospitality industry. You know, as far as restaurants go, we had a small college bar, Sullivan's, at one time. We had some food service operations in Windsor at the golf course at one time. And core brands, though, were always Austin's, the Moot House. And we started to see a few years ago some changing of the restaurant industry and some opportunities in more fast casual service. And at the time when we opened Big Al's, it was riding that wave of Five Guys and Smash Burger, and we decided to do it a little bit more home-style, local, and a little bit more love and passion into the food, and it just spun into what it is now, and it's been a nice little cornerstone piece to add to the family, along with the other full-service restaurants. Also, after watching the success of that restaurant, we had an Italian restaurant called Enzio's that was the space where Comet Chicken is currently. And it was time to remodel or rebrand. Took a weekend and all slept on it and came back and said, what are we going to do? Is it remodel or rebrand? All the hands went up as a rebrand opportunity. Again, following suit, looking at the success of Big Al's in the fast casual world, saying, I think we can replicate this again, and there's a niche downtown that we can fill. We love fried chicken, who doesn't?
Right.
So it became our next and newest family member, Comet Chicken, which has been open for just over a year now.
How was day one, or I meant maybe even month one for Comet Chicken?
It was eye opening. You know, we were hoping to open up much earlier than we did. But along with any new construction, there's setbacks, building permits, all those things that come along with it. So we opened right after the peak of downtown flow. So we knew the first month was going to be a little bit quieter, but it was awesome. We spent so much time preparing for everything and dialing in the execution and doing soft openings and practice and training that it was great. It was fantastic. We got to work out all the kinks that you're worried about ahead of when you're getting ready to set up, and then you open, you're like, oh, just move this here, change this recipe a little bit, and it all kind of fell into place. And we had a fantastic staff, fantastic crew, everyone really good buy-in. We had a good mix of people coming from the other units that came to open us up. So we had some quality people from Big Al's that knew the fast casual, some key players from some of the other restaurants come in and get their 2 cents in and turn into a great first month, and kept cruising upward from there.
Both of you feel free to jump in, but let's cover for people. Hot Corner Concepts has 4 different style of restaurant or food establishment underneath your umbrella. What are those 4 and how are they different from each other?
Well, I'll start with the Moot House. That was our flagship. That's where everything started back in 1988. It's an English-style pub. It's had many iterations over the years. Right now, we are 30 taps, all handcrafted, craft food, lots of different cocktails, still keeping that old English vibe in the place, but we've remodernized it now to fit the current style in Fort Collins. That'll always be the most popular place for Steve and I, probably. It's where both of our careers began, so it's got a lot of history there. I actually met my wife there, Adam met his wife there. So it's a very special place for all of us.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of one of the cornerstones for us. And from there grew Austin's American Grill. We have 2 locations, one downtown Fort Collins and one on Harmony Road. An American Grill, that was my brand as well. I was early in on that brand and love it. It's really fits, I think, Colorado and a lot of regional cuisines. We do everything from meatloaf to rotisserie chicken and a lot of stuff in between, but we put our spins on it. So the meatloaf isn't just meatloaf. It's made with ground bison and portobello mushrooms, a little bit more crafty. We do mashed potatoes and roasted beets and lots of things that you had when you were growing up, but spun a little bit through our executive chef into a little bit different vision, but still good hometown flavors and good, I think, kind of lodgy environment for Colorado. Of course, Big Al's, boy, good old-fashioned burger joint. Hand-patted burgers, hand-cut fries. We make everybody's milkshakes by hand from Haagen-Dazs ice cream. All of the sauces, everything there are prepared there. Nothing comes out of a bag, can, box. It's all made fresh in the place. So 60-40 burger was a creation that's been kind of wildly popular. And
so what is this? What is a 60-40?
60% ground beef and 40% ground bacon into the patty and then seared on the griddle for you. So delicious. It's delicious, super unique. At the time when we rolled it out, nobody was doing that. That was kind of a first, and we've seen other places kind of take off on it and run their own versions of it. So we're very flattered. How do they say it? Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
Right.
So we're very flattered.
Buffalo fries, truffle fries.
Lots of different flavored fries.
Oh, super good.
So we've taken what a lot of the other corporate guys were doing and spun it to be how you would do it as a local guy, what we think. And then Comet Chicken came from, geez, we ate so much chicken. We went everywhere from
Austin.
We were in Texas to South Dakota,
Chicago.
Minnesota, Chicago, all throughout Colorado. Anybody that was doing fried chicken, we looked at how they were doing it and the best methods to do it and ended up with what we did. And that was taking just all natural, never ever chicken tenders and breading them with a blend of Korean style fried chicken and an American style fried chicken. And it just turned out fantastic.
One piece I noticed on the website that you hadn't touched on is that Big Al's was mentioned that you all feature all refurbished furniture. It's like repurposed.
Yep.
Do you mind touching on that? Because I thought that was interesting. I didn't get a chance to go in. I ate at Comet Chicken today for lunch, which was awesome. But
well, that just gives you a reason to come back tomorrow.
That's right.
Well, so we did when we built that building out. We did. We wanted to reflect our community and our passion for the community. Hot Corner Concepts is very. We understand that this community and how important it is to be part of the fabric of it. We're blessed to be in Fort Collins, no doubt about it. These are amazing. Some of the best people in the world live in northern Colorado. We firmly believe that. And this town has offered us so much opportunity. It's kind of a shame that we wouldn't reflect that in our businesses as well. So we do a couple things there that are pretty unique in that building. We took pieces from around town, a market that was demolished. We took some timber from that and some air diffusers from there, made light fixtures and tables from those. And CSU had removed a bunch of the old style chair desks, and there's a company in town called Wool Hat that repurposed those, took the desk part off to give us our chairs. There was a gym, one of the high school gyms not far from here, where the floor was destroyed by some water. We were able to take that flooring and make all of our new tabletops with that flooring.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you'll see pieces of furniture and items in there that were just brought back from Habitat for Humanity or different repurposed recycle places and used throughout the entire place. It's kind of our tribute to Fort Collins and the local surrounding area. We also do something I think it's really special. We have our big change jar. At this point in the history of that restaurant, over $110,000 has been collected for local charities and given back to local Larimer County and Northern Colorado charities. That's in lieu of a tip jar. We just ask people, if you want to throw some money into something, let's throw it back into the community. And we match 25% of those funds, again, back into the community. So it's been a wonderful way for us to continue to give back in a different way to people here in Northern Colorado. I'm very, very proud of that. We started another similar initiative at Comet Chicken called Stars of the Community, where each month we do, just as we do at Big Al's, we pick a local charity and ask people that if you're passionate about that, leave a few bucks and we'll match some of it, and then we'll make sure all those dollars get right into that charity and help some other people out that could use it.
How long have each of you been interacting with Hot Corner Concepts?
Sure. Yeah, so I've been with Hot Corner since I moved out to Colorado. I started off at the Moot House, almost kind of a similar path as Al, but my path isn't as long. But I started off as a host bus and a cook, washing dishes, cooking on the line, serving, bartending, pretty much everything at the Moot House. Then went to go work for Al at Austin's, worked Harmony downtown. We had Pelican Lakes out in Windsor. I was out there for a little while. Did the Moot House again, Enzio's, and then a little bit of everything everywhere. There's a position I think I've worked at one point. Whatever, it's holding a mop or cooking some food or busting some tables, I've done it. But it's been over a decade, and it's been an amazing decade. Over a decade, okay. Yeah.
The only reason his path isn't as long as mine is because I'm much older than him. That's the only thing I've got on Adam is age. So I'm going into my 27th year with Hot Corner Concepts.
Okay. And after all of your time here, what are some of the things that have surprised you or just blown you away, or maybe events or a day you had in this business that your mind comes back to?
That's the great thing about the restaurant business. You never have two of the same days.
Right.
I think that's the addiction, right? For working in what we do is you never know what's going to happen, and that's what keeps us juiced up in doing this. I mean, it's funny when we train, and Adam's my training manager. So if you're going to manage our restaurants, you got to go through this guy, and he's going to put you through the paces. And one of the first conversations I'll have with people when they've completed that training is, "How was your training? How did it go?" And please understand, we're not able to train you for everything that you're going to experience in the restaurant business. One of my favorite stories was a busboy that worked for me, a great kid, lived up in the Buckhorn Canyon and had come to work that day, busy Friday night. Unbeknown to him, his pet raccoon had hitched a ride underneath his car and ended up on my patio at the Moot House, full patio, Friday night, and out begging people for food, and super friendly, very friendly critter, but you don't know that. And I was, of course, trying to diffuse the situation, and Mr. Jangles, who I learned it was his name, was certainly a very friendly raccoon. Sometimes that's a little bit more scary, though. And so we had to get Mr. Jangles off of the patio. And Justin, my busboy, said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I have a patio I have a raccoon on the patio. Maybe you can help me with this. Hold the box. We'll put him in a box." He walked out and looked over my shoulder and said, "Oh, Mr. Jangles." And the raccoon up on his back feet walked up to him like a baby walking to his mother, and he picked him up and carted him off to his car. I can't train anybody for that, but it's certainly a memorable day nonetheless. But there's other great events. I think one of the other highlights is I did meet my wife, and lots of relationships. I think Steve could probably count off at least a dozen marriages that have happened from people that have met just at the Moot House. And that's not including the other people in our company that have met. I think those are really rewarding things for us. I can still remember the first time I saw my wife, and knew that day if I was lucky enough I'd marry her. And
were you working, or were you?
We were both. She was a cocktail waitress and I was a cook.
Okay.
And it was just one of those things. It worked out great for me. I hope she feels the same way.
She's not here to comment.
She's not here to comment. Let's keep it that way. But there's other great things too. That watching people get those checks when we hand over those checks for their charities, and for some of them are such small charities, and you're giving them $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000. That's helps them to change the course of their mission, and that's really cool. That's really special to see those things happen and to watch them be able to do good things with that in the community. It's being able to be involved in our downtown business association by virtue of being a person that's involved in 3 restaurants down here, and being able to have a little bit of a say and a little bit of a purpose for what our direction our downtown goes in. It's just a drop in the bucket, but it is. That's how it gets filled, right? Every drop. And I think those are really neat things. But it's also great just watching people come in on a daily basis and enjoy food and camaraderie and conversation in the restaurants. It's just super rewarding. You don't get to host a party every day in most careers. We get to host a party every single day. And it's a pretty cool deal. It's tiring, and we make it sound easier than it really is. And I know Adam works his butt off to get it done right. And it's not easy, but when you boil it down at the end of the day, those are really, I think we can find rewards every day in every happy person if we look for them. Sometimes it gets a little cloudy because you get frustrated or whatever, but any good restaurateur, I think, enjoys the same things that we do.
For me, relationships are one of the biggest deals. So whether it's with our guests, young adults that are coming to work for us, as somebody that went through that same path, coming to work for Hot Corner Concepts as a young adult, this company just does a lot of things the right way. They do business the right way. They deal with the community the right way. They take care of their employees the right way. And it's a pivotal point in a lot of people's lives when they come work for us. So, I'd say over half our staff are in college or at a point where they're trying to decide what they want to do with their lives. I stuck with Hot Corner Concepts for so long because they had such a big impact on my life. And now that I've kind of gone past that point in my life, I'm married, have kids, and settled down, I get to work with young adults all day long and get to help sculpt them or give them purpose and direction in their life. And the relationships that you build going on are just, they stay with you no matter what. My group that worked at the Moot House together, there's 4 marriages and 8 kids out of it. The regulars that I used to have when I bartend would still call me out of the blue and ask how I'm doing, and I bump into them on the street and talk with them for 30 minutes and be late for an appointment. It's those relationships and those day in and day outs, having a super busy night and everything goes perfect and smooth, and everyone's high-fiving and crushing the rush. It's one of the best feelings in the world. And the only thing that's better than that is when something goes wrong and you fix it and correct the course immediately and come right back on top. I mean, those are things that we do, because in the restaurant industry we wear many different hats. You know, you're a little bit of everything. You're an HR guy. You work every position. You're a repair guy. You know, you're doing finance and accounting and a little piece of everything. So never any day is ever the same, and everyone has unique stories. I won't bore us with another story here, but I have a similar.
That's what we're here for.
I have a similar story at the Moot House, talking about animals. I was doing a catering and helping a lady out to her car with a big plate of shrimp cocktail and prime rib, and carrying out to the car. And it was right around Halloween, and she had parked behind this Porsche. And I'm walking up to the Porsche and looking at the windshield, and looks a little funny. It looks like there is a giant snake in the windshield, but it's over a foot in diameter. There's no way this thing's real. I'm like, this is a pretty wild Halloween decoration in there. So I helped load it up, and piqued my interest enough to walk back over and put my face right by that windshield. And lo and behold, a Burmese python face pops up and is nose to nose with me in the windshield. And I said, this thing's taking up about 75% of the space. There's just enough room for a driver to sit in this car. So I said, okay, let me walk inside and observe the bar.
Been freaking out.
So I start looking around, and I see a guy. I'm like, that's the guy. You know, that's the guy. He has the tattoos to the right. But he just had a look upon him and said, I might own a Burmese python and drive it around in my Porsche. So I walk up to him and say, excuse me, and before I could even go to the next line, he goes, wondering about my snake in the car? I'm like, yeah, I am.
Actually, I am.
Yeah, I am. So he goes, come on, let's go out. And I was like, all right, I'm curious now. So we go out, and he opens up the car door, and this Burmese python, which I come to find out is 23 feet long, was born in the Oak Ridge earthquake in California, and is the largest Burmese python not kept in a zoo in North America. He says, the dude abides from The Big Lebowski.
Right.
And he named the snake the dude, and this snake comes out of the Porsche and comes and sits on his shoulder. And this snake's head is bigger than this man's head, and this guy's over 6 feet tall. And it just rests on his shoulder, and by this point, we have a good group, about 15, 20 people around us. Snake came out, and everyone came out of the bar and came out and got to pet it and walk around, and the guy told us the story of how he drives around with it, and the snake sticks his head out the window and does the little wavy thing like you do with your arm, but with the snake driving down the road.
No way.
And I said, I wonder how many accidents you've caused. He goes, I never look back. He's usually blocking the rearview mirror. And I can count of 10, 20 stories like that where you just have these crazy, unique experiences that happen all the time, and just part of the everyday, and they make what you do special. So it's super important to us.
With 4 very different restaurants, bouncing in and out of them and finding yourself, I mean, you serve different menus to, I wouldn't say different type of people, but there's a different service atmosphere. Is that kind of hard to bounce in and out of and to contemplate, or you just feel like at some point it all blurs together?
It just kind of all works together. Yeah. It's just kind of, it's all, at the end of the day, it's all, hot food hot, cold food cold, people with a smile, and so I guess it kind of crosses across. I never thought about it being any other way.
So one of the cool things when we did Big Al's and Comet Chicken, one of the things that we did is we took our style from full service, and we brought that same style that we do at the full service to the fast casual. So if you come in and eat at Big Al's or Comet Chicken, you're going to get greeted with a big smile. Your cashier's not just going to be a cashier. They're going to serve you, guide you through the menu, talk to you, ask you how your day was. Same way a server would. And not only that, they're going to come out and talk to you while you're eating your food, make sure everything's good. They'll get you a drink refill. So the same core way that we run the restaurants still applies to the fast casuals. And that's one of the things I think that makes them unique is you get a really cool experience at them. It's not just going in and having somebody take your order. You're going to know who took your order. They're going to stop by, say hi to you, make sure everything's great. And having that same style at every one of the restaurants makes just the way that you are. And so you can walk in any of the doors, and that's how, whether it's a brand new 18-year-old person at Big Al's or Comet Chicken, or a veteran that's been with their company for 10 years at the Moot House bartending, they're going to have the same understanding of taking care of the guests first and making sure we're serving high quality food and service always. So that mindset, I think, allows us to walk through the door almost at any one of the places and understand how things work.
Now that you say it, I just came from Common Chicken. And you know how when you're about to order something, you rehearse it in your head? All right, I got this thing down. And I wanted to ask if I could do something I didn't see was on the menu. And now that you mention it, as soon as I stepped up to the plate and was about to order, she asked me how my day was. And I was like, and I had to like think. I wasn't ready for this person to engage in conversation with me. And so you made me think of that. And then she came by and checked on me a couple of times while I was eating, and I just kind of thought like, oh, that's interesting. And I didn't know if it was just that person, you know, being friendly and nice and helping out. But now you tell me that's an expectation as a part of, you know, your intentional design of Big Al's and Common Chicken.
We never say the word customer.
Yeah,
that was bred into us early on. Everybody's a guest.
A guest.
You know, so if you change those words in your head and don't give away too many of our secrets.
Well, we're literally recording so that people can hear.
Oh, darn it. We can edit that out.
This may be the worst hour for that.
Well, I think once you make that mental shift in your brain and you can get people to buy into just, you know, repeatedly, we don't use that word, and it's kind of a dirty word, and say no, we don't say that. Remember, they're guests, and it becomes, you know, not a game, but it becomes kind of hey, no, that's right, they are guests, and it becomes just a different mindset, just a different way of thinking, and that came from Scott and Steve. That was their way of starting this, and then I took my generation, we took it, and it meant something to us, and then Adam came along and said, okay, I get what you're doing, and I'm going to spin it another way and make it even more important. And, you know, I can't think of the last time I heard anybody in any of our restaurants ever refer to somebody as a customer. You know, it's guests, or sometimes friends, you know, and it's a whole different just way of thinking about things.
Do you feel like that happens automatically? I think if I imagine myself being told that, I would understand why. But at first I would think a word is a word.
Yeah.
And I would think it's kind of silly. But I think maybe eventually it like happens in the background and you don't even understand that you're making this paradigm shift, that these are guests and it's not a business transaction.
Hey, we're just restaurant guys. You're the psychologist.
Tell us. I guess that is... Yeah. Put that back on me.
I'm going to throw that right back on you. Yeah. You explain it. We just thought it was cool.
It's part of our culture. You know,
it's definitely important.
That's the biggest thing for us is the success of a restaurant is built around its culture. And the culture is, for us, one of the big things that defines our culture is what we call 1,000,000 moments of truth. So there's 1,000,000 moments that happen for every day that when a guest walks through the door that can affect their experience. So whether it be a dishwasher didn't put away a dirty plate, or we didn't cook something to the right temperature, or we stepped over something on the ground, or we didn't set the table right. There's 1,000,000 things that happen, and in each one of those moments we find out the truth of who we are. So we breed our culture on people that are passionate about taking care of people, that get rewarded out of seeing that person biting their food and big smile on their face, and building relationships and connections. I'd say, what do you think? 25% of our businesses are all locals that eat at our restaurants 1 to 3 times a week. We want to make sure that everyone that's working for us are on the same team and believes the same way of doing things. So it's really what defines us.
Yeah. If I hadn't heard of Hot Corner Concepts, I wouldn't know that these different establishments are linked. Have you ever met someone in one of them and then you saw them in another and they're saying, what are you doing here? Like, did you get a new job? And then you say, actually,
all the time.
All the time. All the time. Not as much now as it was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where we were just running restaurants. We, we're not that concerned with the marketing of a company. We were just trying to, run restaurants and do a great job. So it never, to us, when we started putting all of the restaurant names on the gift cards, and you'd watch people go, "Oh my gosh, I eat here and I eat here and I eat here," and that's really cool. But yeah, it's not anything that I think that we're great at marketing that piece. It's more about the individual restaurants and running those.
Interacting with 5 different locations in Fort Collins, I feel like as long as you all have been in the game, you couldn't go anywhere in Fort Collins without knowing someone. I mean, I think about teaching in a community. I only meet maybe 200 people a semester. That's probably stretching it. And I can't even imagine your all's experience and how many people you know. And it must just be a constant, like a low level familiarity with people, and you just assume, I don't know who they are, I must know them from the restaurant. Because, when I see people and I see their face, I think, where do I know you from? And I feel like that must happen to you all hundreds of times a week, and you just are like, it must be the restaurant.
It's hard sometimes because people, equate the restaurants with us. And when I see people outside of the restaurants, it kind of breaks that barrier for me. So I have to do oh my goodness, I know you. I know I should know your name, but you're not in the right place. So it does. It's great to have that recognition from people, and it's fun, especially downtown. It's fun to walk the streets, and boy, it feels so much still like small town America. I grew up in a small town in Nebraska, and where everybody did know everyone, and I feel that way here. And it is because of the restaurants, because we've got these three places where we get to interact with people, on their lunch hours and special occasions or just night out. So it's awesome to run into people all day long. It's kind of annoying for my wife when I can't just walk to another place downtown. There's 15 side conversations that happen on the way there, but to me it's super rewarding. It's awesome that people would even care to say hello.
Yeah, because you immerse yourself in the community and you become this face that people recognize. And it's not that you don't want to talk to people, and it's not that you don't have things to do, but there's a middle ground between you really enjoy being connected, and it's an interesting spot that you all are in, because while you're at quote unquote work, or while you're doing your career, people that you're interacting with are not. They're not at work. A lot of people only know their coworkers, but people meet you by choice. People meet you when they're out enjoying their free time, and I think that lends itself to knowing you all in a completely different way than if they had a cubicle 5 down from you. Yeah.
It's an interesting way of thinking about it. We always, we joke that we work when other people play. Yeah. And so it's, what you're saying, I think is really spot on. Again, I've never thought about it in those specific of a terms, but you're right. I can still go shopping. I'm not at rock star fame yet. So, but it's
You're
great.
Not signing autographs?
I'm not. I haven't signed anything. I did sign one shirt. But it's that, I think, is, when you go back to, again, talking about the rewarding nature of this business, is that it kind of further cements for me when I see Adam make these friendships, or people stop me in the hardware store just to say hi, that okay, I can relax now. We are doing a good job in the restaurants. You don't have to always worry about, oh my goodness, are we doing it? Because you can't see in 5 restaurants, and they're all running hard all the time. You can't see every plate. I can't cook every burger. I can't cut every potato into French fries. And it's so rewarding to know that we have this team of nearly 300 people that are working with us to do those things, and to still do them with the care and passion that we had when we were doing it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because you're letting, there's a lot of trust involved.
Yeah.
I mean, as we speak at this moment, there are 5 places operating.
Yeah.
And, you see a very small portion of what actually goes on. So, yeah, it reminded me, in teaching, I a lot of times think, I'll say, see you next time, and students are leaving, and I think, did anybody care? Was that all right? Did I just speak another language for an hour and people just hate me, or did they love it? A lot of times you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I can speak from when I was in school. You would have been speaking a different language. I would not have heard a word.
One of the awesome things I think about Hot Corner Concepts, we talked about the change jar and everything there. they're super supportive of encouraging us to be involved with the community. I'm in leadership for Collins right now, but I don't know how many people in our group they've supported and backed us financially and allowing us time off to go pursue things that we want to do to give back to charities or involvement with the community. Cody, who's running Comet Chicken right now, and Big Al's, he was part of leadership and involved in a couple different charities now at the moment. And there's countless names and events and times I can think of. Habitat for Humanity, the Hammer and Ale that Chef Jeff and you guys have done over the years. There's so many things that they do, and without a question, anytime you say, hey, I want to go give out turkeys on Thanksgiving Day, they're great. What can I do to help you? What do you need? And that kind of support is rewarding for us, and I think that it goes both ways in the community. It allows us to build relationships and give back, and that, I think, branches us out just outside of the restaurants, allows us to be more personable and connect even further from just our two doors and our four walls.
Right. Well, as a person not necessarily centered 24/7 in Fort Collins, but in the northern Colorado community, thank you all. Because a piece of this is that your average customer will never know that you all do all of this. But you still do. You find an important part of your mission and an important part of being in the puzzle of the Fort Collins community. And so, if everybody who walked in your door heard this, I'm sure they'd all be saying thank you as well. So I wanted to...
Thank you.
Yeah, say that. I know it's not polite to play favorites, but I am kind of curious. What is if you had to pin it down, off the top of your head, what is a favorite food item that you all serve between all four concepts? Which is like your staple that you still enjoy after all this time.
Yeah, so prime rib at the Moot House, rotisserie chicken at Austin's, chicken tenders at Comet, and 60/40 at Big Al's. Those are my go-to.
Okay, I like how you pick one from each.
That's my go-to. Well, I got to eat all of them. I'll tell you what each one is.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's hard. That's like asking me which is my favorite dog. You can't put me on the spot like that.
Well, what if
They're both my favorites.
What's one of your favorite items from each place?
I would say
Adam took us down.
I am. Oh boy, there are certain things I crave. I crave the pretzels at the Moot House. I love those pretzel rolls. I crave the crispy chicken at Comet Chicken. The rotisserie chicken and cornbread at Austin's. I have eaten thousands of pounds of those things, and it never gets old to me. And Big Al's, the 60/40 and the hand cut fries is it just works.
I'm going to have to try the 60/40.
It just works. Yeah.
Get you one right after
this. It's my guilty pleasure. I can have the bacon and the burger, and I justify it by saying I'm not putting bacon on a burger. I have the bacon in the burger, so I'm getting less, and I feel better. It's just it's hard to say. There's nothing. I haven't got tired of any of our food yet, and I'm nearly 30 years in. So,
which is a wonderful testament.
Yeah, it's funny when sometimes you see somebody eating something and you're like, "Oh, I haven't had that for a while," and then you kind of reconnect with like the vegetable beef soup at the Moot House, and it's just like, "Oh, I forgot how much this was." I like this, and it just kind of falls off your radar, and then you reintroduce, and
it's the same thing with the pot pie downstairs. I had the pot pie at Austin's in years. Had one, now I'm just been craving it all day today.
It's funny how it works. You'd think that being around those smells all day long and just seeing it all day long, you get tired of it. But I think when I listen to Adam talk about it, it's just, I know because he's a passionate guy. He's a passionate guy about our business and about what he does. And that's why he loves it. He doesn't allow himself to get burned out by it because he's constantly thinking about how to improve it, how to tweak it, how to sell more of it, how to, introduce more people to it, how to get the other people to love it and embrace it as much as he does. So his brain works that way. And I think that's a testament to the kind of guy he is, because it's, where other people, you could say, "Oh, I'm so bored with all of our food." No, how can you be bored with our food? We love it. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And, that's what I find more joy in than eating the food myself is to listen to him talk about it.
Yeah. Because if it were boring food and you were working at this establishment, then the menu's got to change.
Yeah.
If it's something you could get tired of, then it's got to stop being served.
And the thing that the big kind of our big joke is, it doesn't matter if we like it or not. It's, do other people like it? Can we sell it to them? True. And the joke back on everyone is, we actually do like the food. So it's when we talk about menu development, it's always like, well, it doesn't really matter. You know, we don't have to love it. You know, we don't have to love it. It has to be great. It has to be high quality, and we have to be able to get great understanding and belief behind the kitchen staff and the servers to be able to sell it and have passion for it. But we still love it. We still want to eat it.
Yeah. When you mention not thinking about something for the longest time, then you crave it. An item that you probably see most work weeks. It reminds me how in a town, when you commute to a job, you might know a street along that route like the back of your hand. You know every tree, you know every business. And then one street over in the same exact town, you have no idea. You have no concept of it because you never spend time with it. And it's really, I always come back to this as I get older, thinking about the places that we are familiar with and not is just, there's such a slim margin. And you know, sometimes I'll just take another route home, or I'll just think of a place. You know, it's just like I have walked, or it's caught me before that I've driven past a building 100 times. And I don't even know what's in there. I don't even know what it is. And that's what you reminded me of when you're talking about like the tracks you get on at work and being here in these 5 different restaurants, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I haven't had that thing in like 3 years. I haven't even thought about it for a while.
I'm a righty, so I brush my teeth with my right hand all the time. Have you ever brushed your teeth with your opposite hand?
It's difficult.
It's difficult,
Yeah.
And your brain just starts working completely differently. And so I like, when you talk about driving a different route home, I think that is, I think you're an exceptional person, because it is easy to do the same thing all the time and fall into that rut. It is hard to challenge yourself to do something different. And so I think that that's exceptional when I hear people do that and challenge themselves just to go out and explore the community and try something different, even if it's just altering your route home and opening your mind up to something a little bit different. I think that's really super cool. And it was introduced to me by a friend who shares the same kind of profession you do, is to say, hey, just throw your toothbrush in once a week, brush left-handed, and just think about how your day goes after that. And it's crazy what it does in your brain. It just gets things working differently. It's really cool.
I assume you all walk into some of the establishments with that, or at least you try to change your lens and see things in a different way. Have you found a mindset? Is it a different time of day? Is it coming in with friends of yours that you wouldn't be with if you were actively working? You know, how do you all come in and see the things you might be missing?
I know how I do it. I'll let Adam answer first.
Yeah, so that's something that's always a concern in our industry, is that you don't want things to, lack of a better term, become wallpaper. One of the things that I try to teach my managers, that I do myself, I actually just did it this morning, is I go and sit in the booths. And I just sit in a booth in the morning and I look around. So I'll pick a spot I haven't sat in before, or just haven't sat in a long time, and I'll look around. And so this morning I did that at booth 7. Hadn't sat there in a long time. I just looked around the restaurant for 5 minutes and looked at, just the overall quality of things. Noticed that, hey, there is a light bulb back there that I didn't even know existed, and it's out. So I'm gonna go get a ladder out, pull that table out. Oh, look, there's something goofy with this table. Let's go fix that table. But I try to, that's just one example, but I try to mix things up. I try to put things on paper. What happens for me is I usually go down, a rabbit hole of things. So I change one little thing and watch where that takes me. So just sitting in the booth this morning allowed me to see about 5-6 things just by sitting in one spot. So try to do that, the same thing. When you're opening up the restaurant or working the restaurant, I try to just change one thing and see what kind of ripple effect happens for me. So from being normally standing on the expo line and expediting food to say, okay, I'm going to go stand on the side of the line today and watch how it works from the side. Just trying to change my angles and perspectives. And, dining in at the restaurants is huge. Coming and sitting in with your friends. It's hard for me to go, I want to go check out the competition, but every time my family and friends are around, they always want to go eat at my restaurants, which I totally understand. It's a fantastic thing to try and mix things up. And in our industry, you always have to be involving, trying to figure out what's the next step, what gives me the next edge. Well, how can I do the same thing I've done for 10 years better tomorrow? And so it's, just taking a different approach from day to day and not letting things become wallpaper.
Don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Don't be afraid of change. I think he's a crazy person, and I love him for it because that's how he approaches every day and every task is with that intensity. And I agree. It's if you look at everything from a guest perspective, then you'll see things you never saw before. Right. What do your guests see? That's my question when I go in and talk to kids, newer people that are running the restaurants for us for the first time. What do you see? And let me tell you what you aren't seeing. And we've been working really hard on lighting in one of the concepts right now and talking about that. And it's kind of an obscure thing when I say, I want buttery yellow. Well, buttery yellow to me is one thing, but it might mean something completely different to you. So we have to continually work on that to try to achieve it and then talk about what does it mean in your terms too. It's fun because there's teaching and learning going on together all at the same time in all the restaurants. Yeah. It's fun.
A lot of moving parts.
But when you get a guy like Adam, who's that maniacal about being able to commit every day to being able and willing to change, I think that's when you really are starting to hit on the right cylinders for success in any business.
You really brought me back to when I taught middle school in Dallas, Texas. There was this really strong feeling. Sometimes it was after like a special event, like graduation or a band concert, and I happened to be in the school, like in the evening time when there was no students. And I would find myself just kind of stopping and looking around and thinking, I am here every day, and it never feels this way. And really like soaking in an environment because, from the second a teacher walks in the building, they're thinking about, I got to do this, this, and this. Kids are coming, T minus whatever. And then boom, spotlight on, show starts. And then when they're gone, go home, grade, and do it all over again tomorrow. And I think rarely are we afforded a chance to sit there as a person outside of the norm and really kind of soak in that moment. And I feel like you all have been with Hot Corner Concepts so long that you have so many memories of being in those same exact spots. And yet there are days that still happen and will happen where it feels brand new. It feels totally different.
Those are the best days, though.
Yeah. They are the best days.
Yeah.
Because that's what hooks you and keeps you going and says like, wow, like I'm here because I enjoy this.
Yeah. It is an addictive lifestyle that we live. You can get caught on this, and just enjoying it, or you can let it get you burnt out. And I think where Adam and I probably are much the same is we choose to say, this is just going to be fun. I mean,
it's a motivator.
Yeah, it's a motivator. We use it as a tool, not as a burden. And it's fun to watch. Adam is new to this location down here, and it was so fun to watch him come into this environment, coming from Comet Chicken, where he was part of the crew. So Adam had to cook, had to cashier, had to do all those things because that's how those restaurants run. I mean, when you're running those restaurants, you are actively engaged in just about every level of what's happening. Here, at the more full service side, you're really overseeing it, and it was fun to watch him make that shift where he wanted to do it so bad and had to take a step back and help and teach other people how to do it really well, and to watch this team just start to feed off of his energy. And this team was a little stagnant, maybe a little stale down here, and they've been with us for so long. Watching just change one little thing, watch Adam come in and impart some of that energy and passion into it, has just changed our business tremendously down here. The restaurant has gotten cleaner. I think that our food is even better. I think that the people are even happier because of somebody is now again, challenging that attitude every single day, and just saying, okay, what can I find today? What can we do different today? How do we win today? How do we win this day? How do we win this week, this month, this quarter, this year?
Yeah.
It's fun. I've been able to do so much with my life by virtue of what Scott and Steve have built and then allowed me to run through my business. You can make an incredible life out of this business if you can maintain that attitude that Adam's got.
Here at Time, I want to thank you both for your time sitting down with us here at the More You NoCo, and also thank you for donating 2 gift cards to the More You NoCo holiday giveaway.
That's awesome.
Much appreciated. If people are very interested and hopefully very hungry by the end of this episode, they can walk into Comet Chicken, Big Al's, and Austin's American Grill. All three are right next to each other, downtown Fort Collins. Mood House is a little further away, right?
Drake and College.
Midtown.
Drake and College.
Midtown.
And then there's another Austin's on Harmony here in Fort Collins.
Absolutely.
And so they should check them all out.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. Thank you
And
very
if for
much.
some reason they want to reach out to you all or just get some background information, website best, and I'm sure you all have an Instagram.
HotCornerConcepts.com is a great place. Each one of the restaurants has their own individual website. We welcome any feedback, good, bad, and different. We like to hear it all. We take it all seriously. We answer everybody. So we like to get good feedback and. Looking for a job too? Hey, we'd love to talk to them too.
Yeah, and if people want to be drawn in, just join the Instagram because that's how I found you.
Oh yeah,
Was
Social media.
Comet Chicken's Instagram page? I was like, I need to talk to these people.
that's
Good look
awesome.
of photos on there.
Yeah,
That's
you're
really
not wrong.
That's
All right.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you also enjoy the music used here at the More You NoCo? I want to shout out my good friend Russell Isaac Long for always giving us those hot fire tracks. Are you looking for a little bit of bonus content in addition to the episodes of the More You NoCo? Check us out on Facebook or Instagram at the More You NoCo. Original, right? Don't worry, we'll be back soon. Until next time, peace!